Okay. Hey everybody, this is Tom again in Western North Carolina. I know it's a little bit crowded right here, but I'm trying to get everything in the picture. This is how to make a chair. I think this will be episode number 5. And it's a continuation of making the slats. And in the last video I showed you some big thick pieces of wood that I had marked out to cut on the bandsaw. And anyways, once you cut them out on the bandsaw, they look kind of like this. There's a pack of them right there. I've got a match mark there. And they all came right out of that other piece of wood right next to each other. They're basically what you call quarter sawn. They're showing a lot of grain, a lot of reflex, but that's what they look like coming out of the saw. After that, I put them through a planer, and it changes them to look something like this. Nice and smooth. A lot of reflex showing. But still, I've got them all matched up. Those are like a set. Now after I run them through the planer, I take them over to a chop saw and cut them to length. And the length on these, I'm cutting these right now 18 1/8 inches. Right there, 18 1/8. But the little end cuts I get off of the ends there is what I use for these little stickers to hold them apart when I put them in the steamer. Can you see that, I hope? Now the thickness, and I planed these to somewhere close to about 14/64. And that is a little bit bigger than my mortise chisel. And the size, the thickness of your slats will be determined by your mortise chisel, because you're going to chop some mortises and your slat has to fit in the mortise, and you're going to want to have a little bit of slack so that you can trim your slat to fit into your mortise hole. You don't want to have to put wedges and shims and stuff in there. And so my mortise chisel measures, you measure your mortise chisel somehow, and mine is it's bigger than 3/16, but it's not 13/16, and it's very close to what a machinist would say 200 thousandths. And so I made those slats when I ran them through the planer, I made them just a little bigger than 200 thousandths. They're going to shrink a little bit, but not much. They're only that thick, so they're not going to shrink much, but you want them a little bigger than your mortise chisel. Now I used to make all my slats this size, and this is 150 thousandths. And every chair that I made 150 thousandths was fine, but I don't know who it was, but some people said, that slat is pretty thin. And so I succumbed, and now my slats are about 200 thousandths. And so it just makes the chair a little heavier, and that slat, when you feel that slat, it's a little thicker. Anyways, this pack here is ready to go in the steamer, but I've already got some other ones in the steamer that I'm going to show you bending them. Now, just in the meantime, I guess one of the previous videos, about 2 or 3 videos back, I was talking about something, and I said I had 6 slats in the steamer, but I really meant I had 6 back posts in the steamer. That little log I had that I split out in episode 2, I guess it was, it yielded 14 back posts, and none of them cracked or anything. And so that's enough for 7 chairs. That little log is going to produce 7 chairs, I believe. Anyways, I'm going to here just in a second pull these slats out of the steamer one at a time, and I'm going to bend them. And I didn't get my gloves. I'll have to just grab them quick. They're right over there. I see them. But anyways, here's the little bending form I use for my slats. And it's just any kind of board that you can find, and you put cleats on them. And the cleats are 17¼ inches apart from here to here. And then you cut the slats 18 1/8, and you're going to bend them into there. Or I'm going to bend them in there, and that's what you do too. Now I made these slats using a joiner, a bandsaw, a planer, but you need to know that all these things can be done by hand, and if you do a slat by hand, you need to bust it out, get those pieces of wood that I showed you the other day that had the lines drawn to be cut on the bandsaw, and you split them, and you split them down as close as you can get them, and then you shave them down. And the hardest thing about that is you need to shave them to a fairly uniform thickness, because if you have thin spots and thick spots, they do not bend evenly. If it's thin, it wants to bend there, and if it's thick, it doesn't want to bend there, so you get these real awkward looking slats. And so it's time consuming, but it can be done. I've done it many times, but I don't want to do that anymore. But anyways, I'm advertising a little bit. There's a couple books back here. This is a book, if you're a book person, this book has a lot of information about chairs and how to make chairs. And this book, the original printing, is hard to come by, maybe on eBay. But this book has been is a revision of this book, and it has all the mistakes that are in this book were corrected. And so that's good, and you can still get that book from the author, who is Drew Langsner. And you're going to have to just look him up on the internet and stuff, and I think you buy the book directly from him. It's I think it's $50. But this is a good book, and it shows all the steps that I have done, splitting and all that kind of stuff. And if you're a book person and you like books, that's a good book for chair making. This book here has also been revised, and if you're again a book person and you like to study books and you're interested in wood, this is a pretty darn good book about wood. And I'm positive that this book has been reissued, updated and revised. So it's available out there somewhere. You look it up on the internet. You don't need either of those books to make a chair, but they're out there. So anyways, back here's my steamer. It's the same steamer I used to bend those back posts. I'm going to fold this stuff back so I can get into it easier. But if you haven't seen it before, there's a hot plate right under there. That's a copper box. I've got it lined with wood just to keep the heat in. And I got to step aside here to get my gloves. Alright, I got my gloves. And when I do this, I'm going to stand up, so my head will probably be out of the picture, but hopefully you'll be able to see the slat get bent. I'm going to bend the slat right here. Hopefully you can sort of see what's going on. But it's a pretty simple process. But I'm going to reach in there, get out one slat, and I'm going to bend it over my knee like that. And then I'm going to put it in my slat holder thing and bend it like that. And I'm going to look at it and see if I think it's pretty even. It looks pretty even to me. But then I'm going to reach in there and get another one. I'm bending it over my knee. And then I'm going to put it in here. Now that I have two in there, I'm going to look at those two together and see if they look the same. They look pretty similar. If they don't, you know, you can move them a little bit, like that. Grab another one. Put it right there. Check it. Pretty similar. And one of the things that I found out about slats is once you get them bent and they're dry and you go to use them, put them in the chair, it's a lot easier to straighten them out. If you have overbent them, it's a lot easier to straighten them out than it is to try to get them to bend more. So these are going to be overbent a little bit. When we get to the place where we're going to put them in the chair, you'll see that I probably have to flatten them out a little bit. But I know that I can flatten them out a little bit and that it's hard to make them bend more. So anyways, those two don't look very matched up. But there, oh, that one's up there. There, that's good. So anyways, there's a set. 5 slats. And they're all good to go. Take them not very long to dry. The back post and the front post are your slow part of the drying procedure. And these will be surely dry by then. Another thing I can tell you is that once you have steamed a piece of wood, it will dry faster than a piece of wood that hasn't been dry, that has not been steamed. And so anyways, if you're in a hurry, you know, I've already steamed my back posts, but if I was in a hurry, which I might end up being in a hurry, I will possibly steam my front posts just to put them through that process so that they will dry faster. Alright, that's probably enough about slats. And anyways, I've got just about all my parts. I still need, I don't think I've showed you guys how to make front posts yet, and I'll do that here in the next video. Got front posts to make. I'm making them all by hand. Or am I? I'll make a front post by hand. They're just like big rungs. And I need to make the piece that I call the frame front. It's a square piece about 1.5 inches by 1 inch that goes across the front of these chairs. And I still need to get those out of the log. So I'll show that here coming up pretty quick. So I hope you're doing well out there. I'm doing good here. I'm thankful for what I have. It's another beautiful day. This is October the 20th, 2020. And just keep on keeping on. Thank you for watching.